What's going on, guys? I'm Stacii Adams, and this is my EPK.
Welcome to Hollywood.
I just wanna love you, woman.
Who is Stacii Adams?
Well, Stacii Adams is a guy from Milledgeville, Georgia, that pretty much loves Southern soul and love alternative rock. You know, I grew up in Milledgeville, Georgia, in a singing family. Two sisters, my father and my mother. You know, we grew up, in a struggle situation, and the only outlet was music. The only outlet was listening to the Marvin Gayes, listening to the Johnny Taylors, the Marvin Ceases, listening to even Willie Nelson, Randy Travis, just a list of artists. So Stacii Adams is a Southern soul alternative rock artist that's here to put music and be a part of the great music that's coming on. So I'm Stacii Adams.
How long have you been singing? When did you start?
Well, I started singing at, like I was saying, a lot of singers. I was at church, and they used to give me the mic, me and my sister, and we'll take turns singing, snatching the mic from each other. So that was my first experience in singing, growing up singing in the churches. And my father, who was a part of a band by the name of Chocolate Ripple out of Milledgeville, Georgia, and they toured around locally, and I just was exposed to music, so I've been singing all my life.
What artists most inspire you?
Man, it's a lot of artists, man. It depends on my situation. It depends on how I feel. You got Marvin Gaye, you got Sam Cooke, you got Donny Hathaway, you got Ray Charles, you got the Allman Brothers. You got a list of Chris Stapleton. A lot of artists out there, man, that really, I listen to, and it gives me the ability to go deep within myself and actually be able to do what I do.
Tell us some things the average fan may not know about Stacii Adams.
I'm 6'7", 230 pounds. I'm taller than what I look on camera.
Anything else?
Well, I work extremely hard when it comes to the music and the craft. Matter of fact, I did a show today before we got here, so, you have to work so hard. You have to be willing to live, willing to die in order to live. You have to be willing to push to that last moment. So when you see Stacii Adams, you'll know that it's a combination of an artist and a man that works extremely hard so that I can please you, the fans, and the people.
What motivates you?
Struggle, pain. Quick story, what brought me back to Milledgeville, Georgia, my mother was diagnosed with cancer 3 years ago. The doctors told her she had 3 months left to live 3 years ago, and I went back to Milledgeville, Georgia, tried to start businesses, and I ended up tapping into more of the Southern soul and singing music. So, but by the grace of God, it's 3 years later, the doctors said that they haven't found any cancer in my mom. She's still here. So to all my people out there with cancer, have faith, believe it's a chance you can overcome. So that's why, that's my motivation, to see people out there who can't do what I do or going through things health-wise and can't get into the lane that I'm getting in because they're going through things. And, whenever you have your breath, you have air in your body, you feel good, you need to be able to get up and do what you want to do and do what you love to do. So that's what pushed me, that what motivated me to struggle.
Where do you see Stacii Adams in the next 5 years?
Next 5 years, I see Stacii Adams in stadiums and coliseums, doing shows with Chris Stapleton, doing shows with Sir Charles, doing shows with a lot of the greats out there. I see myself taking the Southern soul music mainstream. It's already out there at a high level, but being able to tap into the market with, like I said, the Chris Stapletons, and go abroad worldwide. So in 5 years, I see Stacii Adams doing some great things.
What do you think Southern soul music is missing right now?
Seriousness. I think a lot of the music that's coming out now is music to make people laugh. When the craft was actually put together, when you had Muddy Waters, Johnny Taylor, Lil Milton, Ray Charles, you had guys out here that really took music serious, and then somewhere along the way it fell off course to where a lot of artists, Southern soul artists, make comedy music, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's their lane. But I just think to have respect for the greats, I'm here to try to do as greatest music I can do, so that wherever they're in heaven and in the spirits above, they can smile down on what Stacii Adams is doing. So I think it's missing the seriousness. back to real music, back to telling the story, back to taking people down that lane. When people struggling or feel bad, you make a love song to bring them up. When people want to have a good time, you make music to make them want to dance. Like a record I got called Step Just Because.
Step just because you might be with the love of your life. Step just because tonight might.
You know, it's a record that, you know, if you're happy or whatever the case may be, you just step and have a good time. So just seriousness, and I'm here to just try to make good music where people can take themselves down memory lane and feel good and feel excited again.
Do you think of yourself as a savior to Southern Soul?
Well, I consider myself one of the saviors because there's a lot of guys out there doing a great job, and I have to commend all the people out there that's pushing Southern Soul, but I do consider myself one of the bearers of good news and coming to actually add a cherry on top of the cake that's already been baked by those that are out there. So I just know that I can add something to the game that people are going to be excited about and that they're going to love.
When were you exposed to the business behind the music?
I work with Rhino Valley Films, and they do a lot of the behind the scenes, the videos, the mini movies and everything. And I'm also working with Lloyd Mackay on photography, to have people like that in your corner that are so professional and on time. You know, you can't do nothing but go to the top. So I learned that business right now is 60-40. 60% internet and 40% the street grind. A lot of people have gotten away from getting out in the streets pushing.
Who are some of the producers on your current album?
Well, I got some records from Angelo Ray. Angelo Ray worked with Belle Biv DeVoe. He did sound for Akon, T.I., Kendrick Lamar, you name him. He's been out there, and he wrote records with Babyface. He did Step Just Because record. Great producer, real musician, man, play multiple instruments. So shouts out to Angelo Ray, you know, a solid producer. I'm also working with Hollywood Hot Sauce out of California. He's currently also working with P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs on the Big Four. So he produced several tracks on the album. He produced Heat Phone. He produced Hardworking Man. He produced That Guy. A lot of records, man. So you know, Hot Sauce. You know, he plays 5 or 6 different instruments, man. I'm talking about multi-talented guy. So when you got people like that in your corner, man, also the band that I have, you know, I have Daddy Swain come in, he plays guitar, and then the band come in with me, my band, and they actually play songs. So that's what I've been working with on this album. And like I said, we've been able to come up with some great music. So shouts out to Angelo Ray and Hot Sauce.
Who has had the biggest impact on you as far as business and the moves you're making?
Business-wise, I would say, and this is gonna sound crazy, my grandfather, who I never met. For instance, when he was younger, I hear people talk about how hard he worked, how many houses he owned, and he didn't work for anybody and worked for himself back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So a lot of times this is why it's good for you to know where you come from, because by me hearing that about my grandfather, I felt like that was in my spirit to be able to do, and I could culminate different things. So what I did was I reached deep within and kind of summoned some of that genetic ability. So I didn't really learn a lot from people that I watch on TV, but more of what was in me, and what my grandfather passed down to my father, what my father passed down to me. So it's been genetically there, so I just tapped into it. And I don't really get a lot on the spiritual thing, but I will say, it said in the Bible, greater is he in me than he who is in the world. So when I tap on the inside, I tap into that ancestry and that genetic and that makeup that's in me. And you know, different things come up, starting this business and that business, because honestly, to make it in music, you have to be able to fuel the vehicle. You have to be able to put money in yourself. You have to be blessed with a team of great guys, like I mentioned earlier, like KG, Rhino Valley, like Lloyd Mackay, photographer extraordinaire. And you know, it's just a blessing. You cannot do this by yourself.
In closing, is there anything you would like to say?
I would like to say I appreciate you guys. It's because of you the reason I go so hard. Continue to follow me at Stacii_Adams. Continue to listen to my music. Continue to wish me the best. I'm gonna try to give y'all the best product I can. And remember, We are not here to play, dream, or drift. We have hard work to do and heavy loads to lift. Shun not in the struggle, for it is God's gift. Be strong, be strong, be strong. I am Stacii Adams. Thank you.